Welcome to Trade Talks. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. This morning, we're going to focus on talent trends for 2018, a perfect topic for this time of year as employees and employers examine their goals for the year going forward. Helping me do this at MarketSite is Marcus Buckingham. He's the co-head of ADP's Research Institute. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Lots to talk about here, but let's hear more about you before we get into this.
Well, I spent most of my career trying to measure things that are hard to measure. So measuring employee engagement, performance, talent. How do you measure someone's talent? I spent 17 years with the Gallup organization, and then wrote a whole bunch of books on leadership and management. What do the best managers actually do to get the best from the people on their teams? And then joined the ADP Research Institute, mostly because they have the best data. I mean, we need really good data about the world of work. There's a lot of data malpractice out there. And so if we really want to help people find joy and meaning and purpose at work, then we've got to see the world for what it really is. And the best way to do that is through really good data.
Let's talk about the world of work today.
Yeah. So today I think we can all see 2018 is a wonderful time to go, what are my goals? I want to contribute more. I want to give more. It's a wonderful time to stop and breathe and say, what can I give? And yet, so many of us, and this sounds negative or pessimistic, but it's true, so many of us will not actually find a role in which we have a chance to express the best of ourselves. We have 66% of people, according to our latest work, that are considering switching jobs. We have last year 27% of people who did switch. But if you even ask, if you go from macro to micro and you just go, do you have a job where you have a chance to play to the best of yourself every day? We're at 25, 26% of people who strongly agree. So you've got 75% of us go to work and don't really have a chance to express the very best of ourselves.
That's really tough to ask yourself. Does work make me feel powerless? I mean, that's the crux of your day.
Yeah, and I think so many of us do come to work and feel as though we don't have the power to be able to find roles in which we play to the very best of ourselves, to feel as though we have a chance to contribute. For so many of us, work is a disempowering experience where our goals are cascaded down from on high. We're rated against certain competencies. We get a number at the end of the year. You're a 2, you're a 3. It's nothing really about what's inside us. And so work feels as though it's always being done to us. And frankly, for us, if you think about the way that companies are built, they're built actually, Jill, around removing the individuality of you. Most companies are designed to take the uniqueness of you and shave it off and turn you into like a group of everybody who looks and acts and feels and behaves in the same way. Most companies, when you really look, are designed to remove the idiosyncrasy and the uniqueness of you or of me. And that's just such a crying shame for us, because you don't want to be like me. You want to be like you.
Right. So let your own brand develop.
Totally.
Right. And to remove that uniqueness is a shame, but let's shift gears. Let's get positive, because I feel like the calendar year moving from 2017 to 2018 for just about everyone was key, emotional milestone for all of us. How do you start strong for work in 2018? And there's 3 major components. It's not just the employer itself, but let's kick it off with employees.
What can you personally do? Yeah, so obviously you can only control what you can control. But one of the beautiful things about each one of us is we actually know what aspects of our work strengthen us the most. We know what our own strengths are. Somebody else can judge our performance, but we know what strengthens us. So a very simple thing that you could do, or I could do at the beginning of the year, take a blank sheet of paper, draw a line down the middle of it, put loved it on the top of one column, loathed it on top of the other, and go around for an entire week, just 1 week. You've never done this, but you should. People have never done this, but they should. And just go, every time you find yourself looking forward to doing something, scribble it down in the loved it column. Every time you find that time flies by when you're doing something, scribble it down in the loved it column. Every time you find yourself pushing something off, put it in the loathed it column. Anytime you find that time slows down when you're doing it, put it in the loathed it. You get to the end of the week and you've got a bunch of activities where you know that you lent in. Okay, when you put your goals together for 2018, regardless of what your manager says or what your company says, look at those particular activities that bring you strength that no one else can read your mind and tell you. Look at those and build your goals and your role as much as you can around those. No one can do that for you. And you actually do have within your power, you have 74% of the US believes that it has the freedom to modify its own job, our jobs, to fit our strengths better. Most of us believe we do have that freedom. So do loved it, loathed it. Look at those activities where you lent in, build your job around those.
And what can employers do to help employees?
So 2 things. One, if you're a manager, if you lead a team, I mean, for goodness sake, gosh, you are the most important person in making sure that that team feels powerful and engaged. The most important thing you can do is individualize. It's the most important skill for a team leader. Figure out what is unique about you, pay attention, be curious about what drives you, how you think, how this person thinks, how this person thinks. Individualization is what the best team leaders can do. Companies should study their best teams. All good work happens on teams. We should, as a discipline, as a company discipline, you should make it that you're studying where good team performance occurs. What do the best team leaders do? What kind of dynamics exist? And then can we, in simple terms, build more teams like our best teams? Work, unfortunately, is not a solo sport. It's a collaborative sport. So the best companies should study their best teams and try to figure out how we can deliberately, in 2018, build more teams like our best teams. If we do that, we'll gradually be building our companies around what the best teams do anyway. At the moment, we don't do that.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us at MarketSite. I want to get out of the studio and go back to the office now and just work really hard. It's just so inspiring.
Yeah.
Just a quick 5 minutes. Thank you again, Marcus, for joining us. And as always, thank you for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.